Hello and welcome to this very first part of our series on parenting. I've decided to do it and not postpone it any further. This was planned for last year, but I couldn't find the time. But I decided I will do it because I think it's important. It's important for me. It's important for many of us. So, just to kind of provide a quick intro to what I'm trying to do, um, there's this beautiful book by Rabbi Wolbe called Zriya Ubinyan B'Chinuch, which translates as seeding and building in education or parenting. And just, I will translate chinuch as education, educating, or parenting, because I look at it as a parenting point of view, and we will go into further detail what actually chinuch means and what it is. Why am I doing this? Well, I'd say there's two main reasons. First reason is because I'm doing it for myself. Parenting is something that that we all want to know how to do right, and at the same time, we usually don't find time to actually learn about it and think about it and improve our parenting skills. And so, therefore, I decided I will do this little series going through this book and share it with other parents, and I will by teaching it, I will learn it. Okay, that's the first reason, and I'm very honest about this. This is primarily for myself. The second reason is because I do believe there are many people out there just like me who are very busy going about their lives, working or learning, whatever it is they do, studying, and I think many people, especially men, don't necessarily have the time or take the time to think about parenting, and that's very important. It is very important that we do think about it. So we'll speak about that. So these are the two main reasons. Now, why do I do it? And what do I think and what can I provide here? And I think that the only main thing I can provide is just my perspective. My perspective I still consider myself young parent of 6 children who are still under the age of 10, and I guess trying to be a good parent, but also grow personally and advance in many other areas of life. So our children are our little, they are an integral part of our life. We cannot just forget about them. So this is something that comes every day. We come back being parents. It's another hat that we wear, and so it's very important we learn about it. So I hope that through going through this book and through this series, and getting this series out there to other parents, we can bring up important elements of parenting, think about them, and by no means this is meant to be a lecture or something like that. It's really there to provoke your thinking, my thinking, and come up with parts of parenting that are crucial, right? So we will speak about that today. We're going to cover the Hagdama, the introduction, as a brief overview of the book. It really touches on all important parts and elements of parenting. It's a very thin book, but he mentions Rav Wolbe manages to, in his wisdom, to really bring out concisely but very important points. And starting by defining what it is, all the way to what are the right techniques, how to approach it, what's the strategy, all the way, and then to certain tactics and mistakes, and of course guidance on how to properly parent our children. So I'm starting with this now. I'm going to go through the Akdama today, and then let's see where it takes us. I hope you can take value from this. Again, I'm not trying to lecture or teach it as a rabbi. I'm not. But I am a concerned parent. And I wish that through reading through this and going through this book together, we can become better parents. And that's my main goal. So, in the Akdama, Rabbi Wolbe it's one page, so it's very quick, but he really speaks about the foundation of parenting. He says that חינוך הוא משימה ראשונה במעלו, משימה שהצלחוסו מבטיחו השקיעו מורשת העם ותורתו. I don't think I will go through the whole Hebrew text, but I've outlined it for myself, and it's really like this. So, education is the foundation of the Jewish nation. It's the continuation, and it supports the existence of the Jewish people by proper parenting and teaching our children about Judaism, about life. Right? We're not necessarily speaking about teaching Judaism. We are also speaking about the overall parenting, how to teach and how to influence, impact, and our children to become successful, healthy human beings. So this is very clear. It's the foundation of the Jewish people and of its in continuation. It's also a responsibility that lies in every parent, a mother and a father. Each of them are responsible, and we cannot free ourselves of this responsibility. We are parents, so by nature, by human nature, human beings, parents have to educate their children. At the same point, at the same time, it's also something which is inherent to to a human being, is to want to educate. I'm speaking about a healthy, more or less healthy human being, where if you have a child, you want to parent it, and you want to parent it well. Now, the other side of it is that parenting and education and how to properly parent and be mechanech our children is a wisdom, right? He calls it a chokhmah amuka. It's a deep wisdom how to do it right. What does it mean? It means that we cannot just go along and we can just kind of go through this parenting journey by ourselves. We cannot just educate by our own feeling, how we feel is right, what's wrong. And it really requires learning it and acquiring skills and knowledge how to do it properly. So the way I myself explained it is that there's an emotional part. So that's inherent. And then there's the technical part, let's call it, that we need to learn. And the emotional side, why cannot we rely on our emotions or our feeling or gut feeling how to properly act and educate our children, is because that really depends on your own history, on yourself. How well and how healthy are you emotionally? How stable are you? How do you have the right parenting model? Right? It is so many ifs and questions, and this is not a proper foundation to base your strategy on and your approach on for parenting. What you need to do is take that feeling and develop it and nurture it with proper knowledge, and like that become actually good parents. And by nurturing that inherent feeling to educate right, and to parent, but we cannot just rely on it by itself. And it also requires a lot of attention, right? So we need to. It needs time. We just like anything else which is important. You need to set time aside to think about it. And this is where the inherent feeling and desire and wish to properly educate our children comes in, because it's an inherent motivation. So I think if you ask any parent if he wants to be a good parent, he will say yes. So any time of the day, whether you're commuting or anywhere else, is a good time to think about, your parenting. But I think, and here this is just one of my thoughts that comes up here, is that every time we think about parenting, we think it in our own terms. So there's no structure to what we think about and how we think. It's just always thinking about issues or problems, or trying to make sense of what's happening with our child, and why is this happening in school? How can I do it? Oh, I should do. There's a lot of guilt feelings, and there's no proper structure to how to approach parenting. This is how I feel. There's many kids, and each of them is very different, and different levels in their lives and different stages, and it's just super overwhelming. So by learning, or at least trying to give and understand how parenting works, we will be able to let's look at any given situation and understand, what's happening, and then how do I approach it, right? What should I do? What's good, what's not good. And that's the next point he's making, is that we have to properly define what is parenting, which actions and behaviors can be categorized and classified as education, as parenting, which ones are not, right? Which methods bring the desired results eventually, will bring the desired results, which ones will not bring the desired results. So there's some very clear distinctions there. But then he says there's a very important part of parenting is then, and I believe this comes from our inherent, desire to educate and to parent our children, is that we sometimes think we know what the methods are, and we sometimes are very sure that what we do is good parenting. But he says that a lot of these methods are not just will not bring the desired results. They could be actually classified as damaging, right, and harming our children. And he will speak about them separately in a separate chapter. But so it's very important that we have to really say and be able to see which actions, which behaviors, and which methods are right and which ones are not. So, and he will give us a very clear, very, very clear metrics how we can identify those, right? So whether, we'll speak about that in more detail. And he finishes off the Akdama by saying, the introduction, by saying that that fact, or that important understanding that parenting requires study, and you need to learn and acquire knowledge on how to parent right. That understanding is missing in our generation, in many circles, not just in the Jewish circle, not just in the regular parents, but even educators and teachers do not necessarily know, or do not necessarily agree, or are not necessarily aware of the fact that you need to learn and skill up in your parenting and education skills. So that's pretty much it. He then says that we need to start learning about these things. Um, we have to understand, what the foundation is, what is parenting, what are we trying to achieve, and then what are the right methods. How do you measure? How do you measure success over time? How can you see success? So this will be part of the next series. So I'm not sure if this format works. These are the important points here. So we have the inherent, right? What are the main important points? Is that we have a responsibility to be parents. We have an inherent desire to be parents, good parents, and we also, but we also have that other side of the picture, which is that we need to learn how to do it right. When you are a parent, you have a certain model in mind, right? So you are not only as good as a parent as you know and as have you seen a parenting model. The better the model that you have in your life, or you had in your past, or you've experienced at home, the more chances are that your gut feeling is right. But there's so many different factors involved that we cannot just rely on our gut feeling, and we need to have it and hear it from, in our case, from our Rebbeim, from our mechanchim, who really can help us become better parents. And I think this is very exciting. So next part will be about two different approaches and two different sides of parenting. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any comments or any feedback, reach out to me directly. Have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are. And I hope you liked it. So let's continue next time. Bye-bye.